Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So I've been doing YouTube now for a long time, since 2013, made over 1,000 videos, and I've seen it all. I've seen so many people try to debunk veganism and or give reasons why they could never possibly go vegan, and more often than not they invoke a logical fallacy, an error in reasoning. So I thought it's appropriate to make a series showing you these very common logical fallacies that people use. And by the way, I have some qualifications for doing this. I have a bachelor's degree in philosophy. I was actually in a PhD program in philosophy, and I'm a dropout. I took a leave of absence for a year and never returned. So anyway, let's get to my first video here. It was inspired by watching a video from Earthling Ed, where he was here visiting. Ed, if you're here, contact me. Let's collaborate. Anyway, he was debating a college student as to why this college student could never be vegan.
That wasn't really the reason why I went vegan. I didn't go for the morality reason. I went for more of the health kind of reason. Yeah.
So right off the start, I found this quite interesting, that the student that Ed's debating here claimed he had been vegan at some part in his past, but there's a reason here. He had no concern about morality, ethics, cruelty, exploitation of animals. For him, it's all about health reasons, and that's not what veganism is. If you look at the definition of vegan that's been around for like 70 years, it has nothing to do with health. It's not a health movement. It's a philosophy, a moral stance against cruelty and exploitation to animals. So right off the bat, this student has no idea what veganism is. He was plant-based. So speaking of exploiting animals, this discussion Ed has with the student here is all about the concept of exploitation. So let's see how this goes.
Every day we engage in exploitation, so it's very hard because I think a lot of people don't understand that sustainability is a very complicated construct that we as humans, we are like born to exploit. It's just our nature. It's our nature with every living being.
Oh, really? I wish I could get a better explanation about this. Can you cite like a philosopher who believes this? I mean, this sounds like his opinion here that every person, every living being, everywhere on the planet is always exploiting. So I kind of see where he might be going, which fallacy he's going to use here.
Whilst we may agree that we will never rid all exploitation in the world, surely the aspiration should be to reduce exploitation where we possibly can.
Alright, I might be biased because I'm vegan, but it still seems like an objective fact that Ed raised a very valid, reasonable question to this student.
Yeah, but that's your preference to reduce exploitation in the form of consumption of meat, but for a lot of people, meat is a luxury.
Okay, and what does that have to do with anything?
You know, my brother and I, we grew up in a third world country, and meat is like you have the rice, which is the bulk of the meal, and then you have that meat, which is the luxury, which is kind of something that, a lot of people don't get to enjoy.
All right, even though this isn't the fallacy that I'm going to discuss as the central part of this video, I want to point out this is a common tactic that people will do to evade answering the question. Ed asked him a question point blank. Why do you intentionally choose to go down a path in life that involves exploiting animals continually, every meal, when there's an option like, say, being vegan that doesn't? And he goes off on this whole irrelevant tangent about growing up in a third world country and you have to eat all this rice. Oh, how horrible. That's what we eat all the time anyway. And meat's a luxury. Completely irrelevant and doesn't answer the question. And I could see Ed's a little frustrated. And so Ed focuses him back into this topic of why intentionally choose exploitation.
The foods you used to consume, but what about in LA where you have the privilege to make decisions that maybe you weren't able to make before in the past?
Well, yeah, I make decisions every single day.
Really? Thanks for pointing that out. I wouldn't have guessed.
And I try to, be sustainable in other areas, but at the end of the day, we're exploiting every single second of our life,
No, that's not a clear, obvious fact about reality, that we are all exploiting every second of our life. It sounds like you're going to say exploitation is just a necessary part of life and there's nothing we could do about it, right? And that's why you can't go vegan?
Like you're, holding a microphone, but if you consider where those materials have come from, like if you've ever been to a steel mine or if you've ever been to a brick factory, those are all exploitations happening every single day.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're going to keep eating animals every day, intentionally exploiting them, intentionally, which means consciously deciding to do this action, to eat foods that necessitate animals being harmed and killed because Ed uses a microphone which may or may not have exploited some workers, maybe. That's why you won't go vegan, really.
But, you're exploiting, I'm exploiting. everyone here is exploiting. Yeah. Every human on Earth is exploiting. Even animals are exploiting.
So even animals are exploiting. Everyone, everything, every living creature on this planet is exploiting all the time. So therefore, we can't end exploitation, and therefore it's totally morally justified in this guy's mind to exploit animals, because we can't eliminate exploitation. It's just a part of nature, according to him. So this is a classic example of what is often referred to as the appeal to futility fallacy, which is a version of the Nirvana fallacy, whose logical form is as follows. X is what we have. Y is the perfect situation, hence the name Nirvana fallacy, some kind of idea of perfection. Therefore, since we can't have the perfect situation, X is not good enough. So in our case here, X is veganism, a philosophy which seeks to exclude exploiting animals. Why, though, is this guy's perfect situation? Like, for him, a perfect situation would be no exploitation of anything anywhere, but nature, according to him, is just riddled with exploiting, and there's nothing we can do about it. So therefore, veganism is not good enough. Why go vegan? Why seek to reduce or any kind of exploitation of animals, since there's going to be exploitation anywhere, everywhere we look.
But it's an appeal to futility, isn't it? The idea that, well, everything is exploitation. We live in an inherently imperfect world. The sourcing of materials is inherently imperfect. So therefore, where we have options and choices, we shouldn't do that because we are futile in our attempts to be perfect.
Great job, Ed, being so patient with him, explaining how he's invoking a fallacy here, the Nirvana fallacy, the appeal to futility fallacy. Let's see how this guy responds.
Now, with the food that we consume, that's the choice that we have. We go into a supermarket, we go into a restaurant, and it's not that we don't have one or the other, it's that we have both side by side, and we opt to choose one that causes more exploitation over one that doesn't, and that becomes a moral concern, surely.
But see, both cause exploitation at the end of the day. There is no such thing as something that cannot cause exploitation.
Reduced exploitation, reducing that.
You could.
Once again, his only answer is to use a Nirvana or appeal to futility fallacy. Both involve exploitation. Yes, there might be some exploitation when you eat plants. Okay, I'm not denying that, but there's far more exploitation when you eat animals. First of all, animals are fed plants, so there's the exploitation there. Furthermore, you have the exploitation, the killing of sentient beings, the animals that you're eating. So why would you intentionally consciously decide to eat the higher amount of exploitation? Oh, why? Because we can't eliminate all exploitation in my perfect world.
They're chopping down tons of rainforest to plant palm for palm oil.
Yeah.
So that's a huge exploitative industry.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second here, bro. You're saying you won't go vegan, you can't go vegan because of palm oil?
They're, killing the whole biodiversity in that land, and they're reducing the entire environment for the orangutan to live.
You see, it's this appeal to futility again. We're never going to live in a world without exploitation. That obviously isn't going to happen, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try and reduce the exploitation where we can. We should reduce the amount of palm oil that's being produced. I think that's a no-brainer. But at the same time, we shouldn't then use the fact that that is a system of exploitation to justify the exploitation that occurs in other systems of agriculture, animal agriculture. That's still something we should address, because we could do both. They're not mutually exclusive. We could do both simultaneously, and that would be the preferable option.
Ed has the patience of a saint. I don't know how he sits there so calmly. But anyway, yes, Ed, great job pointing out that you can simultaneously have both these beliefs. They're not mutually exclusive. You can be against the exploitation inherent in palm oil production, not consume palm oil products, while also being against the extreme exploitation involved in raising 80 billion animals needlessly a year for slaughter, for food we don't need to eat. We can consume and thrive solely just on plants. So anyway, this is it. This is a classic, an extreme example of the appeal to futility fallacy as used in vegan arguments. So again, I want to make sure you guys are well aware of what this is, and also be aware of these tactics that people will try to use by not answering your question, bringing up irrelevant things like how he had to eat rice when he was a kid or something like that, completely irrelevant. That has nothing to do with why he can't decide to intentionally choose food that involves way less exploitation than all the harm and exploitation involved in animal agriculture. So anyway, guys, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought about this, and let me know what you think my next anti-vegan logical fallacy expose video should be of. And let me know if you have any good videos like this I should check out from Earthling Ed or anyone else where you see some just horrible logical fallacies like this trying to defend their reasons why they couldn't possibly go vegan or why they think they have veganism debunked. So anyway guys, hit like, subscribe, and Ed, good job. Yeah, you know how to reach us if you have some free time here in Southern California. We're not that far away from where you were there. Anyway guys, until next time, let's stay happy, healthy, and vegan.
Fall to the ground. You've got me spinning circles, round and round again, spinning till I'm dizzy. Where will this all